Thank you, Goldie, for the fantastic introduction. And part of the reason I'm thrilled to be here, I'm going to follow up one thing that Grant said. You're here because you get it, and this is a little bit talking to not just the choir, talking to the evangelists. And that's the reason that I spend so much time actually with the agencies and with their teams, because the way that we actually get things done is through the people and through people like you who are delivering on the mission and taking on these tasks every day. And what Grant also said, when he and I have to scoot out later, one of the reasons is that we're spending today with the CIOs and CISOs across all of the federal agencies focused on the National Cybersecurity Strategy and what we're doing, the priorities, and how we tackle some of those things individually, but more importantly, what are the things that we go after together? And what are those priorities? And as Goldie said, I want to talk a little bit about modernization and how that relates to cybersecurity. And it's a little bit of a chicken and egg kind of discussion. Part of the reason that I'm so passionate about modernization and driving it quickly is the way that we become more secure, the way that we protect our infrastructure is to have a modern infrastructure. And to not be looking at things that were designed so many years ago, the concepts of the basic concepts, like Grant said, some of the basic blocking and tackling wasn't even envisioned. So I like to start with audience participation kinds of things, and especially in this dark room where I can't see most of you. How many of you have actually read the National Cyber Strategy? And I'll let you raise your hand if you've read the National Cyber Strategy or the DoD Cyber Strategy. How many? Okay. How many of you have looked at the IT modernization goal in the President's Management Agenda? It's Cap Goal 1. It includes all the focus areas for cybersecurity. All right. How many of you just need more coffee this morning? I ask that because that's going to help me hit some of the high points, but I wanted to get your attention around a couple of things. One, we put it on paper and distributed it so that you can be evangelists, but also that we're very clear about what our priorities are across all of those areas. What are our priorities? What are some of the things that we're already doing that we want to continue to do, and for which? And I'm speaking very specifically to agencies and those inside the federal government, for which agencies will be held accountable, and we will report out every quarter on where we are. We're reporting every quarter as part of the President's Management Agenda. We're reporting a lot more frequently, along with our partners at DHS, in the things that we monitor. So it's important every single day. And so why is cyber part of the President's Management Agenda in the very first CAP goal around IT modernization? It's a couple things. As we modernize the system, many of the security capabilities are built in. That's why we're pressing so aggressively to move to cloud. When we look at our threat vectors, when you look at how much threat comes from email phishing, and we have some agencies using systems that are very, very old, that's one of the reasons that we're pushing. That's an example. Modern design considers security as an integrated requirement, not an afterthought. Some of the things that we're doing in cybersecurity is we're doing it around a system, not part of it. And we're making significant investments in how we look at data, how we use data, how it's accessible. I'm going to talk a little bit later about how some of the policy enhancements that we're doing are actually trying to put more security around who can get to what, why, and how that's used. So our modern technical environments, they secure data in movement and at rest and actually help deliver on the same agenda that we're after. So it's central to how we address some of the basic blocking and tackling of cyber. And that fits in with the President's Management Agenda goals of mission, improved citizen services, and stewardship. And part of how we serve citizens is to protect their data. It is to make them feel secure. And Grant used another example I'm going to hark to as well. I joined the federal government from one of the most highly regulated industries in the world, but definitely in the United States. And we have to be the examples and hold our bar to the same bar that we hold other industries to as well. And that's something that I look at every single day as I talk with agencies. It's also, as we continue to advance and we look at the National Cyber Strategy, there are many things we're already doing. There's many things that are new priorities, and we will be making shifts to address those priorities. I think we have to recognize that many of the challenges actually give us new opportunities, and we have to learn from these experiences. And it's really been a great sign as I've watched many of the agencies embrace bug bounties, hackathons. They've challenged ethical hackers, because what they're actually saying is, help me find what I'm not doing. Help me improve faster. Help me protect what I've been challenged to protect in a manner that's more aggressive and maybe more creative. So as we work across the federal government to execute both the National Cyber Strategy and the IT modernization CAP goal, my team is going to continue to adapt our approach to ensure that we're addressing the complex cyber challenges, but we're also looking at what we're learning from agencies, what we're learning from others, what we're hearing from industries, and that we are never done. This is a journey that's never done. We will continue to advance both policies, and that's one of the things that we are doing directly, as well as how we measure success. So as priorities change, we're also going to change how we're measuring. So I'm going to hit a couple of things. So we're updating policies specifically. A couple of weeks ago, we released the National Cloud Smart Strategy for comment. Those of you, it actually closes on the 24th. If you haven't taken a look at it, please do. We'd love to hear your comments. We're revising other things for trusted internet connections, for how we look, very closely working with DHS on how we look at high-value assets and continue to make sure that we have all the right focus on keeping those secure. And one of the ones that is most interesting and most challenging is what we're doing with identity. So identity is such a critical part of cybersecurity and how we allow access. And as we modernize systems and we are aspiring to do more with data and we're delivering more digital services, tools for managing identity and appropriate access become even more important. So that's one of the policies that we're spending a lot of time on, and I'm really thrilled that we had more than 500 comments coming back from probably many in this room and industry, giving perspectives on what that should look like. Additionally, I am pleased that we have lots of great tools, different ways, whether it's executive orders, support from Congress, other things like that, that's indicated the focus and the priority of cybersecurity. One of the exciting reasons I came to government is I thought the nexus was empowering. You have an administration that has a priority around cybersecurity. You have lawmakers who are prioritizing and funding our investments, and you have agencies that are poised and have some of the best tools available, and we're actually making real progress. That's the other reason I point back to the President's management agenda and ask you to look at what we're doing every quarter. We are making real progress across all the agencies. I know you're going to hear from Chris later about some of the progress that we've made with monitoring and connecting agencies into our enterprise risk management framework. And we're making lots of progress on modernization, but we still have to go faster, and we have to continue the dialogue of how can we do better, and are we prioritizing the right areas of risk and advancing how we think about that risk framework. So I want to close with one last point that's of a critical part of this entire journey. As we modernize our applications, and as we look at what our cyber journey looks like going forward, we have to make significant investments in our workforce. You're going to hear workforce, workforce, workforce many times today. Goldie opened up with it. We know across the industry that we don't have, across all industries, we don't have enough cyber professionals and forecasts. We also don't have, if we look across our broad spectrum of technology capabilities, we can forecast that there are areas where there will be shortages. So we have multi-layers of investments that we have to make to recruit, to retain, to reskill, and that's for our federal employees. The other thing that we have to do for our federal employees is ensure that they have workforce tools that are what they have been used to, whether it's in another industry or as they've come through their educational process. If you want to be a modern cyber hunter, you need the tools that go with that. If you want to deliver modern customer service, you need the tools that go with that. So those are some of the investments we're making. The other thing that is a priority, it's Cap Goal 3 in the workforce, is how we look more broadly. So that's about what we do in our federal space. How we look more broadly across our nation and ensure that we're making investments in communities, in apprenticeships, in traditional colleges, in technical schools, in our early elementary education, to prepare Americans to be part of any type of work that is going to have a significant technology component. How do we get people comfortable with that? How do we look at adjacent types of work and bring those individuals into areas where we know we have significant demand? How do we make it exciting? And how do we make working with technology and the basic discipline of cybersecurity something we do every day? We did talk about earlier, you heard earlier that a lot of the things when you look at the threat vectors, and again, that's one of those, if any of you read the reports and we kind of classify everything that we're working against. Yes, there's many that are technology-based, but there's many that are behavior-based. And behavior we address in a different way. So that's also some of the focus. People, the disciplines that we instill in people, and the capabilities that we build in people to deliver what we're asking both in the cyber agenda, the IT modernization agenda, and overall the service that we deliver to American citizens, because we want them to be confident that their data is secure. We want them to be confident in the services that are being provided, and we want them to be confident that we're using the data to drive good decisions, and that's reliable, authoritative. So I appreciate your investment here today. As Goldie said, learn something, talk to someone new. I hope I tied together some of the things, some of the reasons of why modernization and cybersecurity are so closely knit, and those conversations have to continue. I'm very excited when we have the CIO, CISO Council together, because we focus on that set of priorities and ensure that it's a top priority, not just in the technical community, but the leadership of the agencies. And the executive order this year with the relationship with the CIOs and the leaders of the agencies helps us drive that. And it helps ensure that cybersecurity is a top priority. It's a top priority for this administration. It's a top priority for my office. And because you're here today, I know it's a priority for each of you. So Goldie, thank you for the opportunity. Hope everyone continues to be an evangelist and an ambassador, and have a fantastic day.